How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another match preview, opposition preview on the channel. We're here for the big game, of course, tomorrow away at Brighton. Arsenal face Brighton, 5:30 kickoff. And yeah, really look forward to the game. As always, you guys may recognise him when we do face Brighton. He's been on quite a few times now on the channel. We've got Joe from Albion Obsessed. Joe, how you doing, mate? You all good?
Hello, mate. Yeah, all good. Just about recovered from the festive period and ready to take on another year.
Nice one, man. Nice one. Guys, before we do start, make sure if you haven't already, the link will be in the title. Very easy to do. You click the blue hat, takes you right to Albion Obsessed channel. Go over to there. I think you guys hit over 1K, which is really good to see. So, yeah, keep up the great work on there. Make sure you guys are subscribing to the channel. Yeah, but of course, it's that time again when we face each other. Always a very tough game. I think we could both say that the same for both our teams when we play each other. And obviously, it's kind of mad, bro, because when we go, we actually have a really good record when we play away at you, at your stadium, right? I think the last time you beat us away was that 2-1 when obviously that Mo Pie incident happened and all that. But then it's kind of like the flip side when you come to the Emirates. You seem to always get the better of us when you obviously come to the Emirates. So I just want to, quickly start before we get into the game itself. Obviously, you guys currently sit mid-table, obviously 10th place. We spoke about earlier when I got you on for the Emirates game. But obviously, your new manager, Hertzler, coming in. Now, as a neutral looking in, I think he's actually done a decent job. And obviously, you're a side that, since you got promoted, when you've had Potter, when you've had De Zerbi, and now Hertzler, you're a side that are very well established in the Premier League now. And I feel, obviously, you had that European football under De Zerbi. But how are you feeling, obviously, so far this season? Now we're new year. Now you've had time to see how Hertzler sort of sets up his style and how you guys have been doing this season. What's been your overall thoughts on Hertzler and overall your thoughts on the season so far, man?
I think it's probably started well. As I said when I was on the channel before we played you guys, we had a couple of really good results. It looked like we were scoring goals and sticking in games in tough moments where we may have crumbled in the past. But I think since then, things have gone a little bit skewiff. And we've had some results where we really should have been getting something a little bit more. With all due respect to the opposition that we're playing, we spent £200 million this summer. We want to be challenging for European football. I think that that goal, that target has been set by the players and the higher ups at the club as well. So I think once those expectations are in the fans' minds, that you shouldn't be losing to your bitter rivals 3-1 the way they beat us. I mean, they absolutely smashed us. You shouldn't be giving up a 2-goal lead against Wolves or against Leicester. So there's been some really irritating moments, but there's been some really great moments as well. So I think we're finding ourselves in a fine balance of like there's a lot of negative fans, there's a lot of positive fans.
Yeah.
We've beaten Man City this season. We've beaten United. We've beaten Newcastle away. We've beat Bournemouth, who are a really good side this year. We've drawn against Forest, who are flying this season. So I think, and obviously we started or ended the year drawing 2-2 at Villa Park. So we've gone to some tough places and gotten some okay-ish results. It's just about balancing it out and maybe beating the teams. I hate saying this because we were there once, but beating the teams that you expect to beat, the teams that are sort of floating around relegation and are out of sorts themselves. Like we drew against Southampton, we drew against Ipswich, Leicester, Wolves. So yeah, there's been some real frustrating moments. But obviously we're going into a new year. So hopefully we can wipe the slate clean, build on what we've done over the last couple of games. We had a 0-0 draw against Brentford, so that's keeping a clean sheet. So you have to take that as a positive. Brentford can score goals. They are a good team when they want to be. And a draw against Villa. So we're lacking that little bit of experience to see us over the line sometimes. That's why we've obviously seen goals conceded really late on. But yeah, I think we just need that balance back. We've got all the talent in the world, but we lack balance when the likes of Daniel Welbeck are out, Joel Veltman, those experienced heads that
Yeah.
can drag the young inexperienced players along with them when things get tough. So yeah, as I say, clean slate, and hopefully we can put things right over the course of the year.
Am I right in saying as well that I looked, I think, the other day on your form, I don't think you've won a game in five in the last 5 games, right?
7.
Oh, seven is it now?
Yeah. So
What's
it's
going
crazy.
wrong there for you? Would you just call it a blip at this stage of the season?
Too many draws,
Yeah.
and as I said, like we shouldn't. We were 2-0 up at Leicester in the 85th minute, and we drew 2-2. We
Oh,
were 2-0 up against Wolves in the last 3 minutes, and we drew 2-2. So it's that closing the game out. Obviously, we've got a manager who's quite inexperienced in terms of Premier League. Has only just come in. He's learning very fast and very harshly. He's having to, really get to speed with things. We've just appointed a new assistant coach who starts work now. So hopefully he can add that little bit of experience that we've been lacking in the backroom staff. So I think it's been a period of a lot of players being out injured, and just a lot of games where mentally you can't recover from the last setback, and you go into that next game, you're still hungover from that disappointing result, and we can't shake it from our side at the moment. So that is a worry. But after we play you guys, we've got the FA Cup, and then
yeah.
a couple of favourable games that hopefully we can pick up some wins, and that confidence comes back in the side, because I think that's what we're lacking. Build up play is brilliant. What's really annoying at the moment is we don't seem to be able to string together a 90-minute performance. So I think that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously we're in January. Obviously, we start playing teams twice. So I just wanted to go back to the game at the Emirates early on this season. That 1-1, you guys took points off of us. So obviously, where we're at as Arsenal fans, we want to go and win this title now, and we will look back at games like this against you guys, or look back at the end of the season saying, if we didn't drop points here, we didn't drop points there. So I think it's a big thing for you guys to come to the Emirates, like you usually do, to be fair, and get something at the Emirates against us. Obviously, I know there's lots of controversy about the game, about Declan Rice getting sent off, but I kind of think overall picture as well, you guys still played very well against Arsenal. But I wanted to get your quick thoughts on what you thought of the Emirates game, and the way how you played at the Emirates. Does that give you confidence sort of coming into this one?
Yeah, I think when you play at the Emirates, I think a lot of away teams know that the crowd are quite reactive, and that if things start to slightly go against you, that the Arsenal team can lose the crowd quite quickly. I think we've seen that a couple of times when we played you guys at the Emirates. Obviously, when we beat you 3-0 a couple of seasons ago, the fans started flooding out of the ground, and the crowd was lost. So I think the important thing for us was to frustrate you guys when we came to you, and just sort of stay in the game. It was quite early on in the season, so the players were still learning a lot about Fabian Hertzler and a lot about the new players that we brought in. I think that the catalyst for success for Brighton was Joel Veltman, and obviously getting Declan Rice sent off. And that situation, of course, a lot of Arsenal fans were angry about it. In my opinion, I just thought it was really smart from Joel Veltman, and I think any team that has a player that can get under the skin of opposition players is always going to cause controversy. But when they're your player, they're your. Can I swear on this channel?
Yeah, go ahead, go
So
ahead.
he's a dickhead, but he's our dickhead. Do you know what I mean? Like he's like just complete shithousery. And if you guys had that, you'd be laughing, you'd be loving it. And I'm sure you guys have had players that can do that in the past.
Yeah,
But yeah, for us, Joel Veltman is that player, and he's just so intelligent in terms of defensively, getting under the player's skin. Just making it look as though he's doing something, but he's doing something else. And yeah, that got Declan sent off, and I think Declan Rice was stupid, to be honest. I think it's a very unexperienced thing to do. When I know he's young still, but he's had a lot of experience in terms of winning a European trophy,
Yeah,
being in England squad, now playing for Arsenal, and probably one of the guys that you think of as a future captain. To do something stupid like that on a yellow card, you're giving the referee a decision to make. The referee's going to make a decision. So I'm sure he's going to learn from that. But for us, yeah, it was a great moment, and I think after the red card, we sort of were the team in ascendancy, and we scored. I think it was lucky that we scored when we did, because we lose confidence quite quickly. So yeah, João Pedro scoring at the time that he did was great. And we even had chances to go on and win the game as well. I
yeah,
think, yeah, Yasin Yari missed a great chance.
yeah.
Sort of flashed it past the post, but yeah, I think a point at the Emirates with Arsenal being the team that they are these days is always a good result.
Yeah, for sure. Now, obviously, looking overall, in terms of like, I know you said earlier with the money you spent a lot of money, 200 million. You said right this season. Obviously, we saw you with the Zerbi. Get Europe playing Europa League football, which is an amazing achievement for you guys. Obviously, this hurts his first season. Is what's sort of like the expectations now for him? Is it getting back to European football? Because I know you're obviously like mid-table, but I think obviously he's a young manager. He's pretty inexperienced, but what's the whole Brighton fans' sort of expectations for the rest of the season?
I think given what's happened, it's probably a top 10 finish.
Mm,
Obviously, Europe this season could go down to eighth place in the Premier League, so
yeah,
we're still very much in the hunt for that. I don't think anyone with sense would write Brighton off. I think we've defied the odds more than enough times in our history for people to write us off. So I think it's just about, as I say, getting that confidence back. Hopefully in January, adding maybe a couple more defensive options. We're rumored to be spending £30 million on a Brazilian centre back from the Brazilian
okay.
league. I don't know his name, but obviously it's a very Brighton signing. We're going to South America. We're going to sign a wonder kid. So yeah, watch this space. But yeah, I think for us it's a case of just really having to be patient. Realizing that we did have a little bit of an overhaul last summer, losing Pascal Gross, Billy Gilmore, Roberto De Zerbi, who's a very influential figure in football.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we just need that bit of patience, and I think Brighton fans have patience. We've had patience before with Graham Potter. It
Mm.
took him a whole calendar year to get his first Brighton win,
Yeah.
or not first Brighton win. Sorry, we went a calendar year in his first season without winning a game. So we understand that the club we are a project still, and Fabian Hertzler is a project manager. He's someone that's going to come in and grow with the club. It's just a very very Brighton environment at the moment. We've got a lot of young people just learning off of each other, and yeah, it's about whether those big risks come off, because it is a risk. I mean, our owner is a professional poker player, so he's going to take calculated risks. A lot of people say, well, it's maybe not a good thing to have a gambler as a owner, but I think people have to remember that this is his club. He
Mm.
loves it as much as I do. He is a Brighton fan. He would never gamble our future away. So yeah, it's just trusting the process, because we've trusted it all the way up until this point, and it's got us European football. We topped the Europa League group. I know we sort of went out licking our wounds against Roma, but
Yeah.
we've had some unbelievable times in the Premier League. The fact that Brighton are in the Premier League is just ridiculous. We're going into our suggesting that we stay up this season. Hopefully,
Yeah.
fingers crossed. We're going into our 8th consecutive Premier League season. So, as you
Wow.
said, we're established in the Premier League now, and we want to be. We want to be a top 10 team. We want to be challenging for Europe every year. Um, it's the football nostalgia people that say, "Oh well, Brighton can't do that. Brighton can't do this." All these teams that are suddenly succeeding. No, we needed to be Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool all the time. Why? Why do we need to be
Yeah.
them all the time? Yeah, it's great. It keeps football fresh. And the Premier League this season is ridiculous. It's so tight in that sort of middle 13 to even second. So Yeah, God knows what's going to happen this
Yeah,
season. Forest could win the league. Who
exactly,
knows?
man. It's crazy. It's madness right now. But no, yeah, 100% see where you're coming from there. Just looking overall on your squad this season, is there, if you want to mention like any players that you've been sort of stood out to you this season? Obviously, we know like the main ones. I mean, looking as an outsider into Brighton, obviously, I put Matoma on there on the thumb now. I rate Matoma really highly. He gave us some problems at the Emirates. I remember that as well. And I don't know if you've seen Arsenal's injuries, but we're going to be missing Julian Timber at right back, so we may have to play Partey at right back against him, which I'm pretty nervous about because he's a very technical, skillful player. Matoma is, but obviously, you got like João Pedro. I mean, Danny Welbeck's. I was, seeing him scoring some goals for you this season. Is it Baleba in the midfield? I've been really impressed with that guy as well. But what about for you, man? I mean, is there any players that you want to mention that stood out for Brighton this season?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think if I can give you someone that's not maybe a complete stock answer of,
Mm,
Carlos. Like everyone knows, Carlos Baleba's been great this season.
yeah,
Let me think. Has there been anyone that I've been overly impressed with? I mean, we've not seen much of him, but Matt O'Reilly for me has really impressed
is that the
from
guy
the.
from Stoic you signed?
Yeah, he's been really good. I mean, he had a big setback. He got injured 6 minutes into his Brighton debut against Crawley, and then was out for 2.5 months. And in his first game back, he scored against Man City.
Wow.
And yeah, it was incredible. So I've liked him alongside Carlos Baleba. I think he's a player that's going to get up and down the pitch. And just improve the time that he's in the Premier League. And he seems a really level-headed, really nice guy. So yeah, I'll give him a shout out. Someone that we're really, really happy has just come back is Solly March. He's been
Yeah,
out for 14 months, and he came back against Brentford. Came on the last sort of 5 minutes, had like one of the best chances to score, and that would have been like the fairy tale return for Solly March. He's a Brighton lad. He's been with
yeah,
us right from the academy all the way up until now. Scored some really important goals in getting us promoted to the Premier League. Scored some really important goals in the Premier League for us, and we were gutted to see him get injured last season. I think he would have had a big part to play. Um, but yeah, great to see him back. And yeah, those attacking options are becoming a massive headache for Fabian Hertzler. We've got Brian Gruder, who hasn't played much this season, but has played quite a lot in the last sort of 4 or 5 games. Who looks really, really good. A
yeah.
guy we signed from Mainz in the summer, dubbed one of the best German talents. And so yeah, Brighton are doing Brighton things. Who's
Yeah.
shocked? We're signing one of the kids and they're doing well.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously, like, I know coming into this game, you've got quite a few injuries, right? I saw Welbeck's out. I saw, Ferguson is out as well for you guys.
Mm. Yeah, there's actually been a link that Arsenal want to sign Evan Ferguson, which
Yeah,
is
I was going to ask you about that maybe towards the end, but yeah, I
mm,
mean, we will talk about it now very quickly, just briefly. Like Ferguson, obviously, still a very young player. I think when he had the injury, because I remember before that, I remember the game against Newcastle. Man, he scored a hat trick in that one game, and I think he had scored 16 goals in like his first season with you guys. If I'm not
mm.
mistaken. But what's your make of Ferguson? I mean, if Arsenal were looking at him, would you be willing to let him go, or is it a player that you should be keeping for you?
For me, it's a player we should be keeping. Absolutely, he's only 20, 19, 20.
Yeah,
So he's a kid that burst onto the scene, that's had to be sort of managed a little bit in terms of a few sort of niggly injuries that he's had that's maybe kept him out of form, and sort of out of sorts. We've had Danny Welbeck sort of come into the form of his life, which hasn't helped Evan really. When you've got a fit and firing Danny Welbeck, you're not going to drop him.
no,
What he brings to the side is unrivaled, and I mean, we've seen flashes of what Evan Ferguson can still do at times this season. He scored a great goal against Wolves when he came on, which we thought sealed the victory for us, but we lost. Sorry, we drew 2-2.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, I mean, he's a player with a very, very high ceiling, very young, needs to be managed in the right way. I think he's definitely a confidence player.
Yeah.
that sort of do thinks too much about his chances sometimes when he gets a bit too much time, and will miss chances that you think he absolutely should score. So for us, yeah, if we keep him, great. If he moves on to Arsenal, I think he's a player that you will have to be very patient with in terms of when he gets his opportunity. And a lot of people expect players to come in and make instant impact and be
Yeah.
the player that the media hype them up to be, when in fact they're human beings. They're very young.
Mm.
They're going to need time to develop, and I'm sure in 5, 6, 7 years, Evan Ferguson's going to be one of the best strikers in the world.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, man. And obviously going looking more into this game in terms of how you guys, because obviously when we played you last season, we also done you 3-0. And this, as I said earlier at the start of the show, like, we've got a good record when we go away at you guys. Remember that 4-2 one as well. But
Mm.
what I give you, yeah, which most teams set up against Arsenal, I'm sure you heard about the whole low block side of things when teams play Arsenal, especially when they come to Emirates, yeah. We saw Ipswich do it. There's many teams who set up like that because that's the way you can beat Arsenal. We struggle against teams who set up that way, right? But what I noticed with you guys is every time you play, you have a go against Arsenal. Do you see? Obviously, you've been the home side again. Um, is that how you see Hertzler setting up as sort of approaching this game? And also, if you could give your obviously the predicted lineup as well, how he will set up, you guys' team against us.
Yeah, I think we have seen a little bit of tactical flexibility from Fabian in terms of setting up against the opposition to suit play in that specific opposition. We went to Newcastle and got a smash and grab 1-0 win,
Yeah,
which I don't think Brighton has seen a smash and grab win for like 6 years. Because obviously the managers that we've had just don't play that way. So I think if it makes sense for us to do that, I don't think it'll be a low block. I think it'll be a very organised Brighton side that you play against, hopefully. But I think Fabian wants to play football. He wants to play the very best teams. We played incredible football against Man City and beat them 2-1 in doing so. So I think there's a lot of confidence that if we play our way, we can get a result, especially against teams that come to us and play football. We struggle also to break down the low block teams and have done for God knows how many years. So I think it suits us that Arsenal aren't going to come in and just be, sitting 10 men behind the ball, that you're going to want to win as well, because
yeah,
Liverpool are sort of running away at the moment and you want to keep that pressure on. So
yeah,
hopefully that plays into our hands, that we can take a positive result. I would like a draw. Obviously I would like to win, but I'm realistic. But I think that the best thing for us would be to
mm,
eke out a draw somehow, if I'm being realistic. And just keep building on these foundations. We've had some really solid performances, as I say, over the last 3 games. So yeah, we need to keep building, and get a positive result against Arsenal and then kick on. We've got Ipswich, we've got Everton next.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a good opportunity for us to kick on.
And lineup wise as well, what would be your? Because I know you again. I said it. You got a few injuries. I've been noticing as well. So how will you line up for this game as well?
Yeah, we've had a little bit of illness as well in the squad,
Mm,
so hopefully that's left and we've got a healthy Bill. But for me, it would be Bart Verbruggen in goal, a back four of Veltman at right back, Dunk Van Hecker centre back, and Purvis Stupinian left back. Midfield two, I would like to see Baliba and O'Reilly.
yeah,
Three ahead of them, I would like to see. Gosh, this is hard because, as I say, we've got so many attacking options. Probably Minter on the right, uh, Jorginho Rutter in the 10,
yeah,
Matoma on the left, and then leading the line would probably be João Pedro. Um, because, as I say, as you said, Daniel Welbeck's injured, and I don't think Evan. I think Evan's injured as well.
yeah,
So we're sort of stuck with just João Pedro up front. He's been very frustrating leading the line for us. He normally likes to play in that 10 role, just sort of floating around in that hole between the defensive midfielder and the centre backs. And when he does that, he creates a lot of chances. But when he's leading the line, I think he gets a little bit isolated, a little bit frustrated, as you saw against Brentford with him swinging an elbow at someone.
Yeah, exactly.
So, João Pedro is a little bit of a fragile mentality sometimes. So if Arsenal can frustrate him, I think you would also frustrate Brighton quite a lot, because he's our focal point at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. And so, looking obviously overall in this game, what's your confidence? I know you said a draw earlier, but how do you see the game going? And if you give us your score prediction, and then we'll wrap it up, man.
Yeah, as I say, if I go realistic, I would expecting the best would be a draw, if I'm realistic. But okay. I've vowed to myself this season that whenever I go on opposition podcasts, that I am going to predict a win for Brighton. I'm going to go with my heart. So no rationale whatsoever. I'm going to say a 2-1 win for Brighton.
2-1 win. Yeah, that's fair enough. But even if you guys draw against us, like, for you, I mean, no, for us, it's going to be massive, because, as you rightly said, Liverpool ran away with it. So we're in this position now where these games are what you must win for Arsenal, going ahead. So if you take points off us again, like you did at the Emirates, it'd be another one of those games where it could definitely, cost us. So, a point for us wouldn't be good enough. It has to be 3 points, against you guys. But, it's going to be always a really good game, as it always is when we play against each other. So, listen, Joe, appreciate you coming on as always, my guy. If you want to quickly shout out your content and where people can find you as well, just before we get out of it, man.
Yeah, of course. So you can find us at Albion Obsessed. As you mentioned, Josh, before we went live, or as we went live, we've just hit I think 1,200 subscribers, and so we're growing quite nicely. It's been a year of growth for us, both personally and on the podcast as well. We have a great time. We welcome everyone. We've actually got one Arsenal fan who always comes into the chat whenever we're live, and we're always chatting to them. And so it's a community. If you want to hear more about Brighton, come over to Albion Obsessed.
100%, man. And listen, as always, may the best team for tomorrow. Good luck, obviously, for the rest of the season, of course, apart from tomorrow, man. But obviously, I wish Brighton all the best, man, because, as I said earlier, you're always a team that, I've got respect for you guys, man, because of the way how, you've came up, you've solidified yourself in the Premier League, a very well-established side, and as a club as well, you're so well run, man. Of course, the players that you attract and that you develop and then you get the money for, it's like, so yeah, big respect to you, man. Big respect to Brighton as well. And listen, it's going to be a good game, man. The best team win. Oh, my prediction, by the way, guys, I'm going goals in this game, man. I said it in my preview I did earlier. I'm going 3-2 Arsenal. I think it's going to be a goal fest. So, yeah, really tight game, but I just think we'll get the 3 points in the end. But yeah, thanks to everyone who is tuning in today. Obviously, smash the like buttons up, subscribe to the channel, make sure you leave your comments down below. And until next time, guys, we're getting out of here. Come on, you Gunners. Thank you, guys.